Namaskar. Today's our topic is later Vedic age. This is my brief information. I am Dr. Nare Avinash Wagmare. Presently, I am working at Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith as a history professor. While we are studying the later Vedic age, there are many sources to give us information about this later Vedic period. Under that, Vedas, Brahmanas, Upanishads, Vedangas, Upavedas, Sutras, Epics, and Puranas. Uh, Later Vedic period, social life. What was the social life of later Vedic period? First of all, landlord, warriors, and self-laborers in the later Vedic period. In the later Vedic age, we have a conquering class. This explains why some passages refer to only Varnas, the fair-skinned Aryan conquerors, the dark-skinned non-Aryan subjects. Among the former, there were three classes: priests, Brahmins, warrior Kshatriyas, and commoners, Vaishyas, or commerce people called as Vaishyas. The last being engaged in farming, pastoral activities, trade, and commerce. There was intermarriage among the three classes belonging to the conquering tribe, and change of occupation was also possible in the early part of the later Vedic age. The Sudra class slaves to help the above three communities. Means here the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas. In these three classes, the Shudra, which was the fourth one, they have to serve the above three class people. So here in the Purusha Sukta, they define the Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. There is one more caste they say untouchability was at another evil future which raised its head in the later Vedic society. In the early Vedic or Aryan Vedic period, we not find this untouchability existing there. Only four class, later on this four class considered as a four caste. So what is the function of their four caste mentioned in the this picture? The Brahmanas, they have preaching is their main occupation. Kshatriyas, warriors, they have to protect the state. Vaishyas, they are always involved in the business, and the Shudras, they have to help the above three communities. Then caste system, there are so many merits and demerits of this caste system. It is now based on birth. In the earlier, it was only on the basis of their occupation. Now it's taken the cruel shape on the basis of birth. It is in rigid form. Various type of caste exist in India, and there are merits and demerits of caste system. If I thoroughly explain about this caste system, it merits and demerits, it will take 2-3 lectures. So here only consider that in later Vedic period, the caste system taken its rigid form. Then increase in the powers of the Brahmins. Increase of the power of Brahmins. Meanwhile, religion became more and more complicated in this period. The prayers became longer, the sacrifice became complicated, and the ceremonies became burdensome. But only the Brahmins knew how to recite mantras and how to construct the sacrificial altars, etc. So they became indispensable. Now, day by day, the status is increased in the society. Then Brahmins and Kshatriyas, we have a dual aristocracy, the warrior or aristocracy and the priestly aristocracy. The aristocrat could choose to be a priest or a warrior, but gradually both these occupations became complex. Of the three upper caste was impaired. Both these occupations became complex, requiring a long period of training. Education for the boys of the three upper caste was impaired in the Gurukulas. Means in the Gurukula system, the three upper class people get the education. But in addition to this education, they train his son to recite the mantras, to perform complicated rituals, and instruct him in the mysteries of priestcraft. So on the other hand, the Kshatriya trained his son to shoot, ride, fight, duel, to organize the forces on the battlefield, to use spies in combating the enemy, etc. Hence, both occupations became strictly hereditary. The Vaishyas and economic life developed in the course of centuries. The trader, merchants became richer and richer. These occupations were now monopolized by the Vaishyas who left agriculture, crafts, and cattle breeding to the Shudras. Some of the Vaishyas became immensely rich, means because they are busy in business and trade, and they automatically became as rich persons. So the Vaishyas were able to keep aloof from the Shudras, but they themselves were kept in their place by the haughty Brahmins and Kshatriyas. So the Vaishyas developed into a distinct caste now. Then other subcaste also rise in this period. Four distinct rigid castes beside the fifth Varna, who later became the untouchables, means not to touchables. There are various names of these untouchables. They are also called as Shudras. Even they are called as other names also. But as economic life advanced, the Shudra laborers had to specialize in various jobs. At first, a laborer performed several types of jobs. He would do farm work, look after the cattle, engage himself in house building activities, etc. But gradually, every occupation became as a specialized. So there arose distinct class of potters, tailors, weavers, carpenters, fishermen, etc. As the caste system had already developed among the Aryan upper classes and caste had received the sanction of religion, the subcaste also became religion. Each subcaste also wanted to preserve its own trade secrets. So mainly in the later Vedic period, the caste system taken its rigid form, and touchables, untouchable, pure, impure distinctions started among the people in this period. In family life, in later Vedic age, the Brahmin introduced complicated rituals, most of which are related to family life from conception to death and even beyond death. Sola sanskaras also introduced at that time. Garbhadhana from the beginning of Garbhadhana, right to bring about conception. Pumasavana, right to invoke the gods that a male child be born. Jatakarma, right in honor of the newborn child. Namakarna, right held to name the child. Chudakarman, right perform as a child hair is cut. Then Upanayana, rite of initiation, later known as the thread ceremony. Samavratana, right perform on the completion of studies, which also mark the completion of the first stage of ashrama. The student now returned home from the Gurukula and was ready to earn a living to get married. Saha Dharmacharini Samyoga. This was the marriage ceremony, also known as Vivaha, what we today call as a marriage ceremony, Lagna, etc. The rite marked the beginning of the second stage of ashrama, means from beginning to 25 years brahmacharya ashrama. After return to home, he has to marry and live as a marriage, spend as a marriage life, and this second stage started here. So the lead is no longer student but an adult householder having all responsibility of married life in this stage. Then the joint family system, which was existing earlier also in Vedic period, now it is continue also. The joint family system continued with this emphasis on healthy moral relationship between the different members of the family. The family was patriarchal and the patriarch had great powers over the family members. But the patriarch was not so much feared as love and respected. Virtues like discipline, morality, obedience to elders, as love for the various family members, hospitality to guests, etc. were greatly cherished, and respect to elders, consider respect to guests, that which were the system existing at the time till today also continued in our society. Then what was the position of women? In the later Vedic period, the whole position of women is totally changed. Let's see how. In later Vedic text, we find that girls were married after puberty. The custom of child marriage became the rule after about the second century. So here child marriage system started. In early Vedic period, there was no child marriage system. Then polygamy was practiced by the upper classes, but monogamy was perhaps more common. But now the polygamy system started, and the newborn daughter is a source of misery in the family. In the early age or early Vedic age, the daughter is considered as a Lakshmi for their family. Now the daughter is a misery to their family. What till today in the 21st century, when the newborn baby is born, that time we also consider misery come to their home because of so many evil system, maybe dowry system, maybe the gender inequality and other things. What we are facing till today, that system. As educated, we have to avoid these all things. So some social evils also taken shape at the time. The practice of dowry system, child marriage system, sati system was taken place, the ashram system. Then in the later Vedic religious system, while we are studying the caste system taken a rigid form, the untouchability system is started in later Vedic period, high and low, pure and pure, even inequality started between men and men, and even food, dress, living style, restrictions to some communities. These all systems started in the later Vedic period. Then religious fanaticism, Brahmins and non-Brahmin system also started in this period, and religion became as a rigid form in later Vedic period. Then later Vedic religious system, while we are studying, that we find that sacrifice system became complicated, animal sacrifice. So this time, in the early Vedic period, the nature worship sacrifice in a limited form. But in this time, animal sacrifice, use of charms, mantras, spells, black magic also taken place. Religious life of the people became more complicated one, and the supremacy of the Brahmins day by day increased in this later Vedic period. Then ashram system not allow Shudras and women, which is the main feature of this system. In the early Vedic period, ashram was open to all, without consider caste, community and sex. Now this later Vedic period, the cruel shape, the Brahmin, what we say, the Shudras and women are considered as untouchable, depressed classes, Shudras communities, and they're not allowed to enter in the Gurukul system to get the education and knowledge. Then later Vedic literature, Atharvaveda, Yajurveda, Brahmanas, Upanishad, these all are continued in this period. And one more thing we find in this period is the theory of rebirth, which was not accepted in the Vedic period. Now the theory of rebirth concept is started. For avoid these things, the salvation system is started in this period. Semi-god concept developed in this period, along with Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. These are the creator, preserver, protector of the god. Along with this Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the Rama and Krishna worship system is also started in this period. So this is the Gurukul system. Then Shiva and Krishna worship system also started in the later Vedic period. Then Aryan expression in the later Vedic age. When we study their political life, Aryans are now experienced, they started. The age of Rigveda, the Aryans occupied Afghanistan, Punjab, Sindh, perhaps a little part of the Ganga valleys. But in later Vedic period, we find that the gravity shift to the Ganga's valleys in the Brahmanas. The Aryan civilization centers around the land of Kuru and Panchala tribes, which correspond roughly to the modern Uttar Pradesh, means northern part of area captured by the Aryans in this later Vedic period. Even the third stage of Aryan experience came during the so-called age of the epics and the Puranas, which we may place at around the centuries before the rise of Buddhism. During these centuries, the Aryans went on conquering and colonizing extremely, practically entire northern India, what we call today. Even several main tribes and settlements also find in the later Vedic period. The several Vedic tribes lose their importance while the others gain in importance often under new names. Several new tribes are mentioned in later Vedic texts. The Purus and the Bharatas of the Rigvedic period now amalgamate with the as the Kurus. They make an alliance with the Panchalas, a tribe not referred to in the Rigveda. It probably went under another name then. The Kuru Panchalas, occupying roughly the present Uttar Pradesh region, are the most important people in the period of the Brahmanas. Their king won great victories, and their kingdom was a center of the Aryan culture in India. So it is Aryan expansion in the later Vedic period. While we are studying, some Buddhist texts also give us information about this. The 16 Mahajanapadas, which the Aryans had established just before the rise of the Buddhism, they are Anga, Magadha, Koshala, Vriji, Mala, Vatsa, Kuru, Panchala, Matsya, Suresena, Kasi, Avanti, Asmaka, Chedi, Gandhara, Kamboja. These are the earlier name. In the bracket given the new name of that places like Bihar, Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, Mathura, as well as Western Malwa, Rawalpindi, Peshawar, Northern Gandhara places captured by the Aryans at that time. Then the increase the king's power is find in this later Vedic period. The Aryan conquest of northern India and the transition from a predominantly pastoral to a predominantly agricultural economy. The state ceased to be a tribal and became territorial. Its size increased. A small group of conquerors ruled over a huge conquered population. Naturally, the chief of the conquering tribe was invested with pomp, splendor, and glory. He was given despotic power so that he could keep the conquered people in subjection. Now the Aryan king's power is more and more power in his hands. The other officials also helped the king while doing the king's in his work. In keeping with the increased size kingdoms, we have a worst bureaucracy in the later Vedic age. We come across number of various officers which are not mentioned in the Rig Veda. Beside the Gramani, Senani, Purohita of the Rig Vedic time, we now have Bhagaduga, collector of taxes, Samgriti, treasurer, Akshawapa, controller of gambling, Kshatri, champion, Ratnakara, chariot maker, and others. Then limitations on the king's power, we find that we have seen that thought monarchy had acquired an area of grandeur in later Vedic age. This was meant for the conquered class. Among conquerors, the king to bow to their wishes. There were thus various limitations on the king power. King was educated by the Brahmins. Then the main theory system, King's theory system, a very fundamental principle which encompasses every aspect of Hindu thought was the concept of dharma. Today also we say that you have follow everything according to dharma, according to religion. The term defines translation, it means duty, religion, morality, law. If somebody done wrong work, we say that you are against your dharma, you are against your duty, you are against your religious thoughts, you are going a wrong way. So that time also the dharma is more strong. Every translation, human being has a specific set of duties which form his dharma. So everyone has to do his own work, duties, morally, correctly, truly. That is called as a dharma. If anybody goes against dharma and thus arises the concept of dharma raja, the king has the sacred duty of protecting the people and looking after their welfare. It's the duty of the king dharma to protect his subjects, his people. For failure to do his duty, the king is sure to be visited with adequate penalties both in this world and the next world. Means king has to do his duty correctly, or it's his dharma to protect his subjects, his people, and his state. Then the coronation ceremony impressed upon the king several points: that kingship is elective in theory, that it is a kind of contract between the king and his subjects, that it is a sacred trust, that it is not arbitrary. The king is not above the law. He has to follow the law. Later Vedic, the Brahmanas stressed the idea of the king as a protector of his subjects. In the description of the coronation ceremony, the king receives taxes as payment for his protection. So that was fine at that time. Then Sabha and Samiti again continue, which were in the early Vedic period. Those are also continue in the later Vedic period also. We have already seen how powerful they were in checking the king's arbitrary rule. Enlightened self-interest compelled the king to rule benevolently. As there was always danger of war, the king needed the support of his subjects. One of the most powerful checks on the king was the organized strength of the Brahmins. The king was a Kshatriya. A caste king needed their service to perform various kinds of ceremonies. And if they refused to perform these ceremonies, the king would be in the most awkward position of having to beg and plead with them. He would then have to yield to their demands. Means the king has to take the help of the Brahmins to perform some yajnas for the success of the war. Then let's see the economic life of this later Vedic period. Agriculture replaced pastoral activities as a chief mode of production. There were reference to heavy ploughs pulled by 6, 8, 12, 24 oxen. The plough had a smooth handle. The preparation of ploughing, sowing, reaping, and threshing are specially mentioned in the Satprata Brahmana's text. More varieties of grains were now known, and there was something like the rotation of crops also found in this period. Then occupation, pastoral activities, though agriculture gained supremacy, pastoral activities continue in importance. Numerous prayers are given to invoke the protection of the goods over the cows and other cattle. The other occupations also continued, which mentioned in the White Yajurveda refers to carpenters, arrow makers, horse, cattle keepers, gatekeepers, painters, tainers, engra hunters, several classes of fishermen, ploughmen, charioteer, jeweler. So these all are also existing till today. The weapons are in later Vedic period from around 1000 BC onwards, also characterized by the use of iron in the Gandhara area in Pakistan, eastern Punjab, western Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan. Excavations revealed that iron weapons like arrowheads, spearheads, axes were used in western Uttar Pradesh from about 800 BC onwards. Towards the end of the Vedic period, knowledge of iron spread in eastern Uttar Pradesh and Videha. Then mode of transportation at the time. Besides the Nishaka, which was mentioned in early Vedic period, we find several other points. Moreover, leading was common, though the rate of Satamanas, Subranas, Padas, Krishnalas, etc. interest is not clearly stated. We have clear evidence of sea trade in later Vedic age. The term Samudra, which in the Rigvedic might have meant a broad river or a sea, now definitely means a sea. The chariot Ratha was used for warfare and sports, but to convey goods, there were the bullock cars moving over good roads and boats playing on the rivers. Horse riding and elephant riding were common. Through both, they are communication and transportation. They use the time for uh, uh, trade and commerce purpose. Then what was the religious things we find in later Vedic age? In later Vedic age, also in Vedic there is no temple. In later Vedic period, temple exists found. There is nature worship exists in early Vedic age. Later Vedic age, popularity of yajnas popularized, karma theory existing. There is no priestly class in early Vedic age. In later Vedic age, we find the caste system rigidity, etc. Thank you very much for listening.